One of the most famous Underground Railroad stories is that of Harriet Tubman. After experiencing the evils of slavery and witnessing her sisters being sold away, Harriet resolved that trying to escape with her brothers was a better option than being a slave.
Tubman had saved money and had made contact with someone within the Underground Railway, a network that provided safe houses and transportation for fugitive slaves. She strongly believed that God was with her in her endeavor and would guide her in her escape to freedom.
"'Twa'n't me, 'twas the Lord. I always told him, I trust to you. I don't know where to go or what to do, but I expect you to lead me." And he always did.
On September 17th, 1849, this month in history, Harriet Tubman headed out with her brothers on their escape to freedom. But soon, her brothers, afraid of the consequences of being caught, decided to go back. Harriet, however, was determined to reach freedom. There was no going back for her. She said, "There was one of two things I had the right to, liberty or death. If I couldn't have one, I would take the other, for no man should take me alive. I should fight for liberty as long as my strength lasted."
Harriet traveled at night so that she would not be seen by slave catchers. Just as other fugitives, such as Frederick Douglass, she followed the star that guided her north. The first person to help her was a Quaker woman who was part of the Underground Railway. She sheltered her for the first night and gave her instructions on her next steps to get across the Mason-Dixon line. North of that line were the Free States.
Her journey to freedom was nearly 90 miles. It's unclear how long it took her, but no matter how long, she was not turning back. She says of the moment she crossed that line,
"When I found I had crossed that line, I looked at my hands to see if I was the same person. There was such a glory over everything. The sun came like gold through the trees and over the fields, and I felt like I was in heaven."
Harriet found her way to Philadelphia through the help of blacks and whites along the Underground Railway. When she arrived, she sought work as a domestic. Her plan was to save her money up so she could help the rest of her family escape.
In December 1850, Tubman took on her very first Underground Railroad mission. She would rescue her niece, Keziah Boley, and Boley's 2 children. Keziah's husband had already been freed, so together they turned to the maritime networks to help with the rescue. In a daring moment, John secretly stole his wife and their children from the auction block in Maryland and sailed them in a small boat to Baltimore, where Tubman waited to hide them.
By 1854, Tubman was fully involved in the Underground Railroad and abolitionist networks in Philadelphia, New York, and Boston. In her next Underground Railroad mission, she returned to Baltimore alone and helped her youngest brother, Moses, escape. But she felt she needed to get more out at one time. She couldn't keep leaving so many behind. So, working with abolitionist and Underground Railroad friends like Frederick Douglass in Rochester, New York, Tubman ferried over 70 slaves, including all of her family and friends.
For others whom she could not go rescue herself, she gave detailed instructions for their escape and the locations of Quakers and freed slaves along the route. It is believed over 50 other slaves were freed by her efforts. Her dangerous rescue missions won the admiration of black and white abolitionists throughout the North who provided her with funds to continue. Many of those freed slaves joined the abolitionist movement and began helping others escape to freedom as well. The American Civil War erupted in April 1861 over the issue of slavery. Tubman assisted the Union's cause, which she saw as a path to the abolition of slavery. At first, she served as a nurse and a cook in the infirmary. Then, in 1863, after President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, Tubman's role in the war changed to scout and spy. Working with black Union soldiers, she led 150 of them in the Combahee River Raid. Through that raid, they were able to free more than 770 slaves. She was the only woman to lead an armed attack in the Civil War.
Overall, Tubman made about 19 rescue missions over a period of 11 years. She helped over 300 slaves escape to freedom, not including the Combahee River Raid. Abolitionist William Lloyd Garrison nicknamed her Moses in reference to Moses who led the enslaved Hebrews out of Egypt. The men and women who all worked together for the cause of freedom put conviction and love into action. They lived lives that put the love of others above their own safety and their sacrifice above comfort.